Support the Amigos podcast and keep the Amiga goodness flowing for just $1 a month. Visit our page at patreon.com/AmigosPodcast.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Shadow Fighter. But before we get into Shadow Fighter, Aaron, there's a couple things we need to discuss. The first thing is that there are still some of you out there in listener land that has not voted for the best Amigos games of 2018. You need to get on that. Find the link that I've posted on Twitter or Facebook or Google+. Click on it, it will take you to a Google form. And then vote for your favorite titles. That we got all the different categories, you know, best adventure game, best licensed title, the hot mess of 2018, which is, unfortunately, I'm not available to be voted for on that one. So you better vote, and vote now.
You know, the categories are vast, and you ever watch the Gram or the Oscars when it gets into like the third big hour, and it's like best sound man with a mustache that walks with a limp that wears a toupee.
A little specific, yeah. So make sure you get on there and vote because the voting cutoff is going to be 1 week from today. So make sure you get your vote in. And of course, all the results will be announced on our New Year's extravaganza this year. And we've got some special stuff in store for that show.
That's going to be a monster show. It could be our biggest show ever.
It's going to be fan-freaking-tastic. I also want to point out, Aaron, we got a new iTunes review. This review comes from the UK, iTunes UK.
iTunes in the UK.
It's like the dark side of the moon.
It is?
Because you got the iTunes USA, which is all we ever see in the iTunes UK. It rotates.
But you've got a
with
special gimmick here.
I've got a special
Very
gimmick.
Good.
The title of this review is International Retro Superstars. So, speaking of us, I assume. He says there are millions of podcasts out there, but very few of them are about the classic British machine, the Amiga. And only one of them is from two hard-working guys from West Virginia. Get an honest opinion on our old games without bias, learn about the latest retro news, and have a great laugh into the bargain. There's so many episodes to go at, too. Only Amigos makes it possible. Thank you, Pixels at Dawn, for that lovely iTunes review. And if you have not left us an iTunes review yet, please, please, please do. That is the #1 way that we can grow our listenership on the old audio format. Thank you. Thank you very much, Pixels at Dawn.
He's a ringer. He's a ringer. Thank you, Pix.
All right, Aaron. It's time. I hear it. It's time to load, get on board, load the cargo. The gamble train is approaching the station. Let's hear the latest in this week's Amiga News.
Okay, well, you're sort of like the robot. So, I actually managed to do something this week, Boat. I got off my lazy butt and wrote stuff down, and even you added some stuff here too, which I find remarkable. So, in fact, you've got the first gimmick here. You want to talk about whatever this is?
Sure. So this is a hat tip to our man Figgy CTZ.
The Fig.
He sent us this message. There is a open source port of Cannon Fodder available right now. So this is custom levels. This is custom loadouts. Everything you want. Check this out. You can find this at openfodder.com. They have Windows, Unix, and I guess it's just Windows and Unix versions.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all you need. And so check this out. If you're a fan of Cannon Fodder, I'm going to give this a shot later on this week.
That's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff set up for it.
Absolutely.
Very good. I agree with that. Beautiful, man. Next on the docket here. This is straight from our good buddies over at Indie Retro News. Amazon Software's colorful new platformer Cocoa Banana is taking pre-orders, and I believe there's a demo for it. There's a little gimmick right there. Have you looked at this number here? Of course, you go right to there we go. So it looks like a that looks pretty good, doesn't it? You got a dinosaur there, or alligator, I think.
Yeah, and it's kind of a platformer with some parallax scrolling, because I mean you can't have an Amiga game without parallax scrolling.
Listen,
And
You gotta have that.
Yeah, and this looks really good. This looks like my kind of game. You know, I'm a fan of the platformer.
Yeah, it's cutesy.
Yeah.
Look at that foreground stuff.
Yeah.
You're right, there's multiple layers of parallax. Those are the best kind of layers, multiple. So that looks pretty good. So if you're into that, you can link it up on our soon-to-be extinct Google Plus page. We can talk about that later. And we've got it linked up. And like I said, I think there's a demo of this out you can go tool around on. Now, here's something I just dug up from another one of our good friends over at Vintage is the New Old. Ooh. Although I wrote it out, Vintage is the Old New, which I had to go back and change. So it doesn't matter, does it? I don't even know.
I think they've got an acronym like BitNo or something like that.
Paulo has highlights from the recent 2018 World of Commodore in Toronto, Canada. So if you're looking to see what they're doing up in the Great Wide North, it looks like they had a pretty good turnout up there. And have you flipped through these picturinos yet?
You know, I'm flipping through them right now.
Yeah, and he writes a full description of what's going on.
Looks like they had a really nice crowd.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Canada is Amiga country up there.
It is. It is.
Those are fine folks up there. Long winters, kicked back with the Amiga, playing some games, rendering some stuff, and generally being cool.
Drinking some brews.
Hey, you know it. You know that. So there you go, if you're interested in that. Okay, next on the docket. Now, this one here, readretro.com. I've never heard of this site. This popped up on the radar. Commodore Amiga lives on with 5 new games, and it goes on to talk about these games, and some of these we've talked about. I like it when I dig up a new site that's talking about Amiga stuff, and so if you're interested, it's at readretro.com. You ever heard of that one?
I've not heard of these guys. However, the guy that puts together these videos, he is on it. Whatever kind of, this is Saberman, I think is his YouTube channel. He is, whenever a new game is released, he instantly creates a video and puts it online.
I think he's got the inside track.
Yeah, I applaud his efforts for sure.
Yeah. I'll skip to that. Okay, we might as well talk about this. So we mentioned, I guess it's a couple episodes ago, that we're going to be migrating off of Google Plus next year, late in the year. Well, now we're going to be migrating off Google Plus earlier in the year because they found a very stupid flaw in Google Plus that's giving away information, and so they're shutting it down early. We've got somebody on that, don't we, Boat?
How do you feel about all our Amiga news being leaked to the Russians?
Listen, that would probably help the world be more peaceful.
That's true.
I think.
That's true. Amiga rings the world together.
I don't have a problem with it. That said, comrade, we've got top men working on a replacement that we're going to start using, and I'd say we'll probably migrate to it as soon as possible, and I'll probably do both for a while until Google Plus buys it. So, what are you going to do? We need to get off Google Plus anyway. It's been dead as a doornail for a while.
That's true.
Now, here's something from our good pal, Pixels at Dawn. Laird's Lair, it's hard to say, Laird's, which God knows I've watched about 400 million of his videos. He goes to the Retro Computer Museum in Leicestershire to take a...
Leicester?
Oh, is that what I said? Did I pronounce... Oh, there's no sheer at the end, is there? Is there a Leicestershire? Did I just make that up?
No, there's Worcestershire
no Leicestershire
sauce.
Leicestershire.
Yeah, it's spelled sort of like that, but you don't say it like that.
Oh, well, dadgummit. Anyway, he goes to Leicester. What's with all the I's and C's in there? What's going
England,
on?
Man. They got
It's
constants
vowel,
to throw around. They
it's
got
like
vowels.
vowel scrabble. Let's
is.
throw it in there. Triple word score. Anyway, he goes to whatever this place is called to take a look at one of the only CD 1200 prototypes. Now, we saw the guys over at Guru get the scoop on this as well, and I don't know if this is the same one or if it's a different one. There are too many of these around. They say, I watched this video, and the fellow says, as far as they know, there were only 30 ever made, and they think most of those were destroyed. So it's possible that we're seeing
the only
one or two that are the only ones that are left. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the same one that we saw in the Guru Meditation.
Maybe so.
This one doesn't work. They don't have all the crap in it to make it go. But they're hoping to take it apart sort of like what the Amiga Love outfit's doing with the that rejuvenator board, trying to take that thing out and scan it in and get all the data off of it, and then try to make it work.
Right.
It's a handsome unit. I
love it. I think it's so cool.
And it would fit right in with your 1200. Of course, again, it extends your 1200 further across the desk. But at this point, we've got desks that
continues its long march toward oblivion.
Yes, it's true. Okay.
You know who else is from Leicester?
I can't even say what I was going to say. Who?
Chris Fold.
Oh, that's where the fold was? I should know that. Yeah, you're right. Now, I just put this up today just because it's sort of Amiga related. Here's another site we never linked from.
Here's another site we never heard of.
Moviesgamesandtech.com. I wonder what they
URL.
do. Wonder what they cover.
Yeah.
They did a review of Gods Remastered. I remember hearing a lot about Gods Remastered, then I didn't hear nothing for a while. And I remember seeing a video of it, and it looks a lot like the old Gods, except smoothed out and
yeah, they haven't totally redone it. Like you said, it's remastered.
Well, you don't have to go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this thing runs. I mean, did you see what this is on? It's like the PS4, the Switch.
Really? So this is getting wide release. Boy.
Yeah. It's this is not an Amiga title. It's going to be released for other people. Now, some people love Gods. Some people, I like Gods a lot. I recall you don't like it at all.
I hate it.
You didn't like the slow plotting game style.
Or the just general goofiness of your characters.
I enjoy. You love a lot of goofy. You are a goofy character.
I've got enough goofy characters in my life.
Well, I don't, so I enjoyed it. So anyway, they give this a 6.5 out of 10, I believe. Well, listen. Make your own call here. But I'm just saying, it looks like it's okay. Will I get it? It's on Steam. So, hey, if the price is right, or if the people over at whoever made this, the people that made Gods want to send me a review copy, hint, hint, I'll be more than happy to have a go at it. Hey, I love me some Gods, so I'll give an honest review. But anyway, fetch your bag, go for it. Now, this one popped at the 11th hour. I literally saw this as I was leaving work from our good buddies over at Indie Retro News. The Atari ST version of Sinbad and the Throne of the Falcon gets an Amiga port by n.a.p.s. Now, I believe he's done some other ports of stuff from the ST, and here it is. I've never played this game.
I thought that you'd played every single CinemaWare game to completion.
This is one that I've not played. So, and I'll be honest with you, I thought the Amiga already had a version of this, but I guess it didn't. Or maybe this is just a better version. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't played it. So it's on the list. I'll be playing it now. And I like Sinbad. I like the movie and stuff. So it might be kind of fun. Hey, anything that gets ported over from the ST, that sounds good to me. Because, hey, remember they did that port of, what was not Karateka. Yeah, it was Karateka they ported over, and it ended up being really good. Maybe this will be good too. A couple more items here. Speak of the devil, and the man himself here is in the chat. If you follow the Retro Man Cave, like I do, he is up to part 3 of his Amiga 1500 rebuild. This thing came out. It was junked up. He's had to do a lot of work. So this time around, we're looking at doing some expansion. And
what is that thing?
What I like about it, that's a big old expansion board with a new processor.
That's crazy looking.
That's got a 68030 on it.
That seems like it could be its own computer.
Because the thing about the 1500 is it's exactly like a 500. It's just awesomer with a bunch of ports. It doesn't. The process is the same. So what you got to do is, and what I like about this video is he shoots video of him playing some games without anything in it, right? And he plays games, and including Wing Commander, which you were caught in that video a while back of playing the Wing Commander on the 600.
A little rough on the 600.
It was a slideshow, let's face it. So what Retro does is he does a before and after, and the comparison, just like you're seeing if you're watching.
Unbelievable.
And well, of course, you're going from 68,000 to 030, and you're adding a ton of memory, and it's the difference is quite remarkable.
Yeah, and this is the reason to upgrade. Like when we talk about, why upgrade, what is it? If my games can look that much better on a stock system,
yeah, there's certainly, and when you see Wing Commander, it's the difference is unbelievable. On top of everything else, it's more usable. And again, now most things play pretty well on a stock system. But here's another good example. He talks about rendering this stuff here, and if you watch the rendering on between the two systems, again, it's going from a 68,000 to an 030. It's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. So, but he did it with old classic accelerators, and everything in this is classic except for the GoTech. And so it's interesting if you're into the old stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to have an 030 or 040, but that stuff was so out of my reach in the old days, and now it's like triple. You couldn't get one on a bet. They cost a fortune.
Yeah.
And then plus you're in a position now where that stuff's getting so old, it could go at any time. So, and this is something we're all gonna have to deal with in the coming years. I mean, now stuff's gonna start fizzling left and right.
Memento Mori.
It's good stuff from the main man, Richard Man Cave. Always good stuff over there. So let's go over some of the. Oh no, I almost forgot one thing. Remember a couple weeks ago the nerd did a show on the CD32.
Oh, shoot. Man, I almost did it again.
Yeah. What are you doing, Bo?
Yeah.
So and then after the nerd did the CD32 debacle, then they had our video pulled.
Right. We cannot show any nerd videos.
So what does Boat do while I'm talking about this? He loads up the video.
Yeah. I just get on automatic pilot, man.
We don't want the nerd.
We don't
lawyers.
need the legal team on us again.
Yeah, no.
Once was enough. Threatened with broken fingers.
It reminds me of Mr. Burns. He pulls the lever and there's a panel of lawyers coming at you. We don't need that. So anyway, the nerd is back with part 2 of his Amiga beatdown. And this time out, he takes a look at what is actually a CD-TV title, The Town with No Name. Now, this is rather an infamous title for its suckery.
Yeah, I've been to the desert and all that stuff.
No,
right?
this is not that good. Oh. That's A Horse with No Name. This is The Town with No Name. It's also the Programmers with No Skill. Because this thing looks like I don't know what was going on here. I mean, this is... Well, it's not good. And so it's ripe for the pluckings, and which is okay. That's what he does. But what he does do that I don't agree with, that actually filled me with much anger, because I sort of enjoyed the show, and I like his stuff generally. I mean, he's an idiot, but that's what he's supposed to be. But at the end of the episode, he blows up a CD32, and he burns it. He literally melts the CD32. Wow. I know... There's a certain element that think that's amusing, listen, I'm not going to be the stall. I'm not going to speak up for the whole Amiga Nation, but I wasn't happy.
I'll speak up for the whole Amiga Nation. You shouldn't destroy consoles. It doesn't matter what they are. They have value to someone, and there are people that have worked their butts off to get some of this stuff. And to me, it's like I've always had a problem with Garth Brooks smashing up guitars on stage. It's like. There's lots of people out there that, would like to have a guitar.
Well,
and I don't know. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I think that's lame, and it's not cool. It was disheartening. I'm hoping it was one that didn't work, or it's the shell of one, or whatever. But maybe it was 3D printed.
He melts the sucker down. The sticker you can. And it was silly. And the thing is, I looked down in the comments, and people were like, "Woohoo, you're the man!"
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of slack-jawed, mouth-breathing troglodytes out there that think this stuff's hilarious. I was not amused. I don't like it when he does anything. But this isn't like you're blowing up a PlayStation. They made 4 billion of those. This is freaking a rare commodity. So yeah. I know. Listen, I told myself, you're not going to go off on this because it's stupid and no one cares, but it did piss me off. I'm not going to lie. I know I guess I'm that shallow. So let's talk about site news, Boat. First thing I want to mention is I guess you're going to start doing this weekly, Boat. I guess this is the plan. If you miss a live week of our Amigos, like tonight, right now, I assume this is something that's going to get put up eventually?
That's right. So going forward, all full archives of the Amigos will be made available to the public. So if you want to catch our pre-show shenanigans, our during-show shenanigans, and our post-show shenanigans, all in one handy stream on one video on YouTube, just search for Amigos Live, and you can see it all. The outtakes, the missteps, the times Aaron beats me into submission. You'll see it all on Amigos Live. So
That may have to happen one of these days. Yeah. So I mean, some people miss the live stream and they get a kick out of it. Also, don't forget that it also includes all the chat.
That's right. That's a major reason why I did it, is because we have all this chat going on, and I hate to lose that record after the show goes live. So if you just want to watch the Amigos part, that's still going to be available to you on YouTube and in audio form. But if you want to see the whole ball of wax, the whole kit and caboodle from soup to nuts, I'm out of analogies, you can find it on YouTube.
I like that. Well said. Well said. So we also recorded a crazy. It got over our last episode of Insert Disc 2, which we talked about.
That's Insert Disc 2.
Yeah, we talked about the 1-Up arcade machine I saw at Walmart. We talked about the PlayStation Mini. Among other things. By the way, it's funny, we weren't prolific when I said this, but that thing's been fully hacked now. Totally play any game you want. Now people have turned, they kind of like it.
Well,
like,
the ultimate irony is that the SNES Classic apparently plays PlayStation games better than the PlayStation
I've heard
Mini,
that. Listen, I'm assuming we're going to get into this later because I've got yet more idiot conversation to talk about on that. So
stay
tuned
tuned
in for Insert Disc 2 where we continue the conversation on that because there's more to come. Last week, me and the Brent tackled a machine that was hard as hell to emulate. We took on the FM Towns Marty. I was actually interested in messing with the Marty because, which I'd love to touch a Marty, or I love to touch an FM Marty. I got to be careful.
Marty!
I like to touch an FM Towns Marty or play with one because it's really a unique and interesting system. It's a shame that it didn't do very well because it's an interesting blend of arcade ports and PC ports. So it's quite a bit. The story of the FM Towns Marty is very similar to the Amiga. The FM Towns was a PC, then they consoleized it into the FM Towns Marty. Much like the CD32 we were just talking about with the nerd, was a consoleized version of Amiga 1200. They have a lot of similarities.
Well, I think there are a lot of companies that try to do a consoleized version of
but I mean, if you think about it, they came out at the exact same time. Mm-hmm. That's what makes it interesting. The FM Towns Marty only beat the CD32 out by a few months. And that's why it's the first system with a CD. Yeah, and there were so few made. Again, also like the CD32. So anyway, we had a good time with it. It's been a pretty well received episode. Now this coming week, much to Brent's delight, we're going to tackle an American a system as you can get. From the big state, the Lone Star State, we're going to be tackling the Texas Instruments TI-99 4A this week. It's our foray into the 4A.
I hope that's the episode title.
No, I don't title them. I'm not that creative. So it'll be a lot of fun. Brent was so delighted. He sunk his head down on the ground and pleaded for help. He was so appalled. So that's what we'll be covering this week. See, do I have anything else here? Bo, you got anything that you can think of that we missed here?
I don't think so. I guess I can mention this now rather than at the end of the show. We do have a new URL for our t-shirts. If you go to everythingamiga.com/swag, you can go right to the store. Thank you to Jason Warnes for making that shortcut so you don't have to type in a hyphenated mini character URL to find our stuff.
Thank you, Jason, very much. We appreciate that.
Aaron, are you ready to tackle the beast that is Shadow Fighter?
I'm ready to tackle the beast. I really am. You ready to go?
I'm ready.
So, the game selection committee this week spoke out, and I don't know how close it was, but for us, they picked Shadow Fighter. It's amazing to me, I'll say to preface this, that I have not ever played this before. I'd heard the name, I knew of it, but I'd never played it. You know, I'm a fighting game fanatic. And especially amazes me is when I look over the reviews and the scores on limits of it, it's so highly regarded that I don't know how I missed it. It came real late in the game. So I'm assuming I was out before it got out. So
you were playing that One Must Fall crap thing that you were always talking about when you had a real.
You've never played One Must Fall, have you? In your whole life, you've never played it once. So we're gonna ignore most of what Boat says. Keep drinking, pal. So anyway, Shadow Fighter came out. It actually was released, and there were 3 different releases of this Boatster. This had an AGA release, an original chipset /ECS release, and of course a CD32 release. Now, I looked at the CD32 release. I don't know which one you looked at.
I looked at the AGA version.
Okay. The AGA version.
Oh, I played both the ECS and the AGA, but I spent most of the time with
Okay,
AGA.
good, because I didn't get to try the OCS one. On the AGA version was 4 discs, and the older one, the OCS ECS, was 4 discs, and the CD, of course, was 1 CD. So this came out in. I saw several release dates for this, so I don't know if they released these staggered or how they did it, but the mostly agreed upon release date for this is February 19th, 1994, although some places had it listed as coming out in 95. So I don't know I'm assuming some of the other versions came out first. This was published by Gremlin. Of course, Gremlin published a million things. Mm-hmm. It was developed by an outfit called n.a.p.s, N.A.P.S.
Right, which I'd never heard of them.
Well, that's all they ever did on the Amiga, and I'll get to them in a little while. Everyone that worked on this pretty much didn't work on anything else on the Amiga, except for the music guy who did, among other things, Zool 2. He did the music for that. So there wasn't a lot of... this was their baby on the Amiga. You can play 1 or 2 players. You can play 2. You can fight each other. It's a fighting game. We should mention that. So, what is Shadow Fighter? And I want you to think back into that kind of early to mid '90s era. Fighting games were all the rage. You got to have one, right? And we've talked about that. And the Amiga was light in that area. Now, eventually, you would have Fighting Spirits, which we both really enjoyed. And you also, of course, you had that god-awful Street Fighter II that came out. And you had
Body
Blows series, which, and Primal Rage eventually came out in Mortal Kombat.
So you really had them all.
You had, well, with various degrees of success.
Sure.
We could agree with that. And Elf Mania is another one. And so this game was released in that environment, and it sort of shares attributes of some of those games. All right, so you can tell some of the stuff they put in to meet the needs of that era. Okay, so I printed this story. This thing has a backstory, which I'm not going to read this whole backstory.
I never noticed because I never looked at the manual that was in the original font, but it's total Star Trek font on the title.
Oh yeah, and I'm holding it up here. I printed it out from the manual. So, and I want to thank, as we always do, Lemon Amiga and Hall of Light for the multitude of information. I use them all the time. So, basically, I'm going to summarize this long story because the story is kind of confusing. So, there's a samurai. Mm-hmm. He's honorable,
as they are.
But this demon wants his soul because internally this samurai has an inner turmoil. Part of him wants to be a world-conquering stud, but the honorable samurai part's like, no, we can't do that.
Boy, it's like looking in the mirror.
I know, and you've got the sword and everything. Yeah. So get this. This might affect you someday. So anyway, the demon rolls in. He sends in one of his hired goons, and he says. He lays this sword at this guy's foot of his bed, okay, a shadow. And the shadow also has a globe of light, an orb, okay. And so the guy grabs his sword and he feels the power of super evil awesomeness, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going for it." Right?
Oh,
so he becomes a big. He starts becoming a braggart, and the people that all liked him started not liking him because he was becoming a jerk. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, and again, I'm trying to summarize this weird story. So basically, that same demon guy that was like, "Man, I want this guy's soul." He started not wanting his soul because the guy became a jerk or whatever. So,
like, tainted souls aren't as
he sort
valuable.
of cursed him to live forever or something. Mm-hmm. And so now this guy exists, and he's the body's decaying, but he's got eerie power.
Kind of zombie-like.
Real weird tale. If you read the docs, I mean, maybe you can make more of it than I did.
So he's the boss in this game.
He's the boss.
Yeah. Punta Cana or whatever.
His name is Kiyoya Mishumi. That was his samurai
But that's
name.
not the boss's name. The boss's name starts with a P.
Oh, no. He's the Shadow Fighter. The bald guy on the cover that's like, that's him. That's the guy.
Okay.
So, you have to beat an assortment of guys. This game did not reinvent the wheel, did it, both? You've got, and this is another disputable fact, you've got a number of fighters that you have to beat, and then you can fight the guy. Okay, this game has your standard stuff. You can play a game where you just go through all the fighters and fight the end guy, and depending on which level of difficulty you pick, it will determine how many guys you have to fight before you fight the end guy. And if you play on easy, you can beat all the guys, and you still don't get to fight the end guy. It's one of those gimmicks. Right? You can also do a one-on-one match with the computer opponent of your choice. You can also do a one-on-one match with a human. All right? The options for this are interesting. You can turn blood on and off. Blood in this is real tame, I'd say. It just sort of comes out and just lays there. I don't know where.
Well, if you remember, fighting games from this time, the blood was all kind of lame,
Well, this game's not what I would call, I would not have a problem letting my kid play it. It's not like they're caked in blood. Blood just sort of shows up.
Mortal Kombat's like that too.
Yeah, but Mortal Kombat's much more violent than this. It's got it's got the
fatalities and stuff like that.
That's right. You could turn the blood on and off, and I said, to me, the blood sticks around, so but I mean, it's kind of goofy to me. And that's really the only violence. You can turn it on and off. You can also it's got, the CD32 version had music and sound effects, or you could turn off the music and have sound effects plus background noise. Which I thought was interesting. The other version,
I didn't investigate the AGA version. I just played it with the music and the sound effects on.
Yeah, I turned off. I thought the music was okay, but it was nothing to write home about. It was okay, but I liked it. I kind of liked the background noise and the sound effects. I thought that was, and that's weird to have that. I don't think I've ever seen a game that let you just have turn on ambient noise and just whatever stage.
Because in a lot of games there is no ambient noise.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. This game has a ton of passwords, which I used liberally to get through. I'm sure you used them too, to cheat. So you're probably thinking to yourself, how does this thing control? Well, you use your joystick or gamepad. In my case, I used the CD32 pad. Now, the funny thing about this game is, and I think this is one of my first problems with the game, despite the fact that this is a CD32 release that I played, it still only supports one button.
Right. It's the ultimate in lazy port.
Well, now I will admit that they do a lot with one button.
Sure. But that's no excuse for not incorporating more buttons when you have the option.
I guess the way they've got this game set up, it would be a big hassle to
yeah, they'd have to not be quite so lazy.
I'm not going to fight you. I mean,
there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse.
It was unusual.
You wonder why the CD32 failed? This is yet another of the 1,000 reasons.
Listen, if I was to purchase this for CD32, okay, and I did look at the HA version, they're identical looking. I would purchase it on the basis that I could take my newly minted gamepad that had 6 buttons or more, 8, and I could use the buttons to play this fighting game. And so when you can't, it would be a real drag. There's no doubt about that. And so that's the first problem I've got with it. Another thing is, I don't think I'd want to try this on an actual joystick. It would be did you use a gamepad to play it?
I use a gamepad.
Yeah, this would be extremely difficult it's hard on a gamepad. So I want to go over, I've got my little book here, and the reason I printed this little book out here was it's got all the fighters in it, and these fighters are a colorful bunch.
They are.
I want to go over some of them, and sometimes they're not colorful, actually. A couple of them are sort of colorful. And I'm just going to go through these briskly. You've got a basketball guy named Slam Dunk. He's from Denmark. Is basketball big in Denmark?
No idea.
So I'm guessing it is. He does basketball-based attacks. Now, this is the guy that I used all the time. I liked him. But I know I've seen another basketball guy in another game. I believe it was King of Fighters.
I believe it was Shaq Fu.
Well, I didn't even think about that, but you're right. You're absolutely right. But also there's a basketball guy in King of Fighters, I think, and also there's a football guy in World Heroes. So this isn't the first time a sports guy.
Like an American football guy?
Well, actually, it's weird. He's a big football guy, and you can't see his face because of the helmet. You just see red eyes.
So it is American football, not like a soccer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. American football. So anyway, that's in World Heroes. Then you've got, that was Slam Dunk. Then you've got Electra from France. She does electric stuff.
Boogie.
Again, it's nothing that major. You've got Soria. He's the kickboxing world champ. He's from Belgium. So at least they covered their bases here.
Right.
Then you've got Jurgen. I didn't like Jurgen. He was German. He's a German cop, and he shoots at you. He's got a gun. That doesn't seem fair.
Well, there was the guy in Mortal Kombat that had a gun too.
There
what was
was
his name? Cyrex?
Well, I mean, they all had like lasers and stuff, but there was a guy that had a straight up gun.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. Then you've got Cody from the USA. He's a Kudo arts master. He does your typical.
He's your Ken Ryu
sort of generic.
Guy. Yeah.
I like this guy, Fakir. He's from Pakistan, and he does he's like a genie.
Right.
He has a magic carpet and
he can teleport.
He doesn't look that much like a genie, though. I mean, his body,
what does
his
a genie
face.
look like?
I don't know. He didn't look genie-like to me. I don't know what they
Like
look
Barbara
like.
Eden?
Well, he did look like that. Now, see, that was a missed opportunity.
I know. Where is the Barbara Eden?
We need to have our own fighting
license
game.
title?
Yeah. You got Salvador from Spain. This guy he had this annoying attack called the Flashing Panther.
Oh yeah, that's no good.
And it was fast. It would come across the screen and be like, wow, and make a panther noise,
It's sort of like Orchid in Killer Instinct.
Now, here's another guy I like, Curry from Tibet. The game freely admits it doesn't know what this guy is. And he's not telling. He's kind of weird.
You got to have some mystery in your game.
He's like a strategically shaped bear. And he's a big freak. And I kind of liked him. I played him a few times. I played all these guys at least once. You've got Tony, that's with an I, from Italy.
Boy or girl?
It's a girl. She does like fire stuff. And then now this guy, I'm going to tell you how much I didn't like him. Lee Chin. And the thing says he's a big fan of Bruce Lee. Well, no kidding. He looks like Bruce Lee. He does this kick where he puts his hand on the ground and just spins around in a circle. It sucked. I hated that kick, and he could just do it all the way across the screen.
It's sort of like Chun-Li's butterfly kick,
it is,
right?
No, it doesn't look like that, but it is. The effect is similar, except it's dumber, which I'll get to. You've got Manx. Manx, again, this is a call to the girl in Samurai Showdown. This is a wild cat girl, and of course that's another thing that's been done to death. The cat girl.
The old cat girl.
Then you've got Top Knot. Top Knot's a Thai boxer. Just Thai boxing stuff. I should mention that Manx fights like a girl cat, claws and stuff.
Makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, then you've got Yardo. It's his name, Yardo.
They were starting to run out of names.
He's from Mexico. He was born in the Mexican wild, and I like this. Yardo lived alone for many years, meditating with the old ones to learn the ancient Aztec powers of the soul.
The old ones?
Yeah.
Those the guys from H.P. Lovecraft?
He's the great old ones, but yeah. Or the ancient. So anyway, this guy's electric stuff, which we've already seen one electric girl. So here's another guy. Then you've got Akira. This is the honorless samurai. This is
like rated.
Right. Now get this. This is actually the guy that the story was about, and then the guy you fight at the end is sort of the master of this guy. Now, if you look at the graphics in the game,
they don't look anything like the drawings.
Well, they don't. But if there's a guy in here,
everyone in the drawings appears to have like a 74-inch chest. Well, they're all puffed up beyond all recognition.
Anyway, the guy that has the Raiden hat, it looks like they just took the hat and stuck it on one of the other pictures. I'm sure that's what they did.
There might be a chance.
Yeah, no, I guarantee you. If you look at the game, it just looks like they stuck a hat on him. He does sword stuff because he's a jacked up samurai. And then you've got the main guy, the Shadow Fighter. He's a big, weird, dying guy. And you also, if you put in a code, you can play as Poop Eyes.
That's who I was talking about. He's the boss, right?
No, he's not the boss. Poop Eyes, he's the guy that in training mode, it's a training dummy you weigh on that can attack you.
Oh, I thought he was the boss.
You can play as him too. If you it's not that much fun to play as Poop Eyes. So you've got to. I didn't like this cast of characters. I'll be honest with you. I thought they were derivative and sort of generic. I mean, say what you will about a game like Body Blows, but you've got like the fighting banker.
I disagree. Well, I disagree to a certain extent. There's a ninja, and his name is Ninja. And he screams ninja when he wins.
If he's fun to play, though. I mean, I like that guy. We'll get into you're right. Body Blows isn't the best example. It's hard to be original in the realm of a fighting game, but some of these guys are kind of original, like Curry, a couple others, but it didn't do it for me.
You can't tell me that Yorda is not original.
No one's like Yorda. So you've got all the guys here. Here are all your fighters. This game boasts like 17, 18 fighters, tons of guys, okay? So how does it play? I've been talking for a while. Why don't you chime in? You played this. How did it play for you, and what did you like and what did you not like? Both?
So I could not wait to come in here and kill this game.
I was wondering which side of the fence you were going to fall on.
I heard that.
You're going to make me be good cop on this?
You didn't let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
I could not wait to come in and kill this game. I heard the name Shadow Fighter.
Yeah.
And I figured, boy, we've covered all the big fighting games on this platform so far. This has got to be the bottom of the barrel, just the worst. I couldn't have been more wrong. I loved this game. I thought this game was great. Now, this game is a one-button game.
Yeah.
Okay. There's only one button, so you just got to live with the fact that it's a one-button game. But this game, I could pull the moves off. I could do the moves with a degree of regularity. The game is beautiful. It is by far the best looking fighting game on the Amiga. I'm talking about the AGA version. The OCS version is pretty. The AGA version is gorgeous.
Was there a major difference on the two?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many more colors.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much more movement. The characters, like you said, the derivative. Hey, newsflash: every fighting game has derivative characters. I don't
Not
count
everyone,
that against
but
it.
most of them, yeah.
The game is like the modes are plentiful. There's passwords, like you said, so if you can't get through something, you can find a way around it. My biggest knock against it is that it's one button, and for the CD32 version, and even for the AGA version, because the AGA, as we all know, supported multiple buttons, they really should have changed that. But if you're looking at this game as this is a one-button fighting game on the Amiga, I have not played one that looked better or played better or sounded better that I had more fun with.
No. I'm going to disagree with you on a lot of that. I think Fighting Spirits looked better. And
the sprites are larger in Fighting Spirits, I'll tell you that.
It played better. And here's
didn't play better.
Here's my biggest problem with this game. It's not even the button situation, because they played the hand they were dealt to a certain degree. Again, they were lazy. And OCS can do 2 buttons as well. I mean, Lionheart has 2 buttons. But the problem with this game is the fundamental game. The actual balance, the gameplay, the amount of damage your attacks do is idiotic. It's an idiotic game, and this is the problem with this game. You can hit a guy with 3 fireballs and kill him. You can hit a certain move and kill a guy with 2 shots. The computer's an idiot, even on the hardest level. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can beat you, it can kick your butt, but it's generally, I mean, I could pummel the computer.
I think that's another reason why I liked it.
I could pummel the computer, but if it hit, there were several moves that the balancing was crap. That is the Achilles heel of this game. The graphics are okay. They're okay. I mean,
I can't believe you're calling the graphics in this game okay.
They're pretty good. I'm not going to kill the graphics.
The backgrounds in this are so detailed.
Some of them are. Some of them aren't. There's parallax scrolling. They did their homework on everything but the actual fundamentals of the game. This is what separates a game like a Fighter's History, Fighter's History. Well, it was a good game. A Samurai Showdown or a Street Fighter game from all the other wannabes.
Oh,
it's
sure.
the balancing of the characters and the balancing of the damage that's done. I thought at first that because I started on easy and worked my way up, and I thought that was what the problem was. It wasn't. It was irrelevant. This game has a balance issue, a big one. There are certain moves that do way too much damage, and I mean, I would be crushing a guy, and all of a sudden the game would just end, and I'd be like, what happened? He'd hit me with one move that took away 2/3 of my bar.
Yeah. I think you've got a valid point. I mean, you can't put a game like this up against Samurai Showdown or something like that, where the Japanese developers are the masters of the one-on-one fighting genre, and these European developers, I mean, they were trying to make something that looked like it, but I don't think they really understood the mechanics of what makes a balanced fighting game.
I agree.
And since you are you're so well versed, that was probably more apparent to you right off the bat than it was.
But even you had to notice games that would be over in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, you could end a round in less than 10 seconds. And this isn't Killer Instinct, where, I mean, it takes a guy that is, you can do the same thing, but it has to be someone that's super skilled and knows all the combos. This is just tossing a couple of basketballs or whatever and knocking guys out. The characters, this game is a real, it's an odd looking game to me. The characters have this reminds me, you were talking about One Must Fall. One of the things it does share in common with it is there's a pseudo anime art style in some of the characters that just doesn't work. The characters in this are supposed to be like real hot chicks. They'll turn around for the butt shot or whatever, but they don't look sexy at all.
Very ineffective butt shot.
It looks like it's not that good.
I couldn't really even tell. I was wondering if she was actually turned around, you know.
The girls got, what was it, Frank Fertitta? They had like the girls, was that who it was, the artist? That like the girls with the big, huge heinies. You probably like a couple of these girls. Is that right? Is that Frank who it is?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You never heard of that guy, the artist? Okay, well.
Is this an artist, you know, in quotes?
No, he's super famous. Someone will help me out there. Frenetti or whatever his name is. But anyway, the art in this, the characters, some of the characters look better than others. They took some shortcuts, like I said, on some of the every fight you start, they puts up a profile of the fighters. That's cool the first time. That you could have used that. I would rather see a picture of the fighters or something.
Let me ask you a question. Is this the only game that you can think of where the fighters immediately upon like starting the match, they both jump backwards?
That's something else. I was watching video of this. And I'd seen it when we picked this, when this got picked, and I was like, okay, let's try this. I wasn't anywhere near a computer that I could play it on, so I was like, I'm going to watch a video and just see what this looks like. And I kept seeing that. I was like, man, that's weird that they do that every time. I didn't know it's mandatory. Your characters both jump backwards instantly, which is, I mean, it doesn't mean anything, you know, but it's still goofy to me.
Well, to me, it's kind of dumb because sometimes when you're playing a fighting game, you want to get the early jump in and you want to attack the guy right off the bat. So,
I have a fighting style often where it's like a rush in type style, and you're right. And this game, given the fact that you only have the one button, it's real easy to try to hit the wrong move.
Right.
And so when you're jumping in, if you're not careful, you will hose yourself instantly. It's a real hassle.
Another thing that was kind of an issue is that sometimes when you're doing like a fireball type move, if you press down, you'll kneel and you'll sort of remain in that kneeling stance, and that becomes an issue too. So again, they were trying to do all that they could with one button. It's not the best experience, but like I said, I can't think of a game where I was able to pull off the number of moves that I was in this game. Another thing that's helpful too is that this game has, I think, 6 total button and stick combinations. It's like A through G. I was looking in a magazine.
There's a lot of There's a lot of moves.
And if you learn those 6 combinations, you can do any of the moves with any of the fighters.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
They do a lot with the one button. And don't get me wrong, it's cleverly done, but the problem with that is when you do all that with one button, there's much, much more likelihood that you're going to screw up than when you have the multiple buttons to choose from. 2 buttons, to me, is at least a better number because at least you can separate punches and kicks or something. When you're in hot and heavy in the action, it's real tough to use the one button.
Absolutely.
And so when you're a serious fight fan, this is a game. You know, we've talked this before. I was just talking to my buddy at work today about this. This is a game it's highly regarded. Okay, it's very highly regarded. I mean, and I'll get into it in a moment. But the review stuff are real high. But I mean, this is if you put this on any console, this would be sub-pedestrian. Like this no one would play it. There would be a 0% chance because of the button layout and because it just of the basics in it. It's just an fundamentally unplayable game. Now with 2 people, which I didn't get to test. Could be a different story.
I feel like at this time there were so many subpar fighters coming out on the consoles that this game probably could have squeaked by if it had multi-button support. They probably could have gotten something out the door. They could have tricked some people into buying this. You know, on the box, it cracked me up. It says, "Who needs Mortal Kombat when you have this?" You know, it says Amiga magazine.
I saw that. This game promised additional fighters. Not only does it promise it at the end of the game, it says coming soon, additional fighters. I think that was in the ads or maybe even on the box. There were never any more released. And I looked around trying to get some information on it, and I couldn't find anything about it. So that's kind of a bummer. It would have been interesting because, I mean, they've got a pretty large roster. And I will say the characters are, for the most part, they're pretty different, you know. I mean, it's different enough to where I'm not going to complain about that. I mean, you've got a good roster. The backgrounds they range from perfectly adequate to pretty good. I mean, and a couple that are really good, but nothing.
Like the subway one is just great.
Right.
With the train going by in the back.
There's some that are pretty good, but I mean, it's not like it's not going to blow you to smithereens. This game is tough for me, to be honest with you, because I debated a lot this week as to where I would rank this in the pantheon of Amiga games. And I'm throwing out the Mortal Kombats and stuff. I'm just talking about like your Street Fighters, your Fighting Spirits, your Body Blows.
Why are you throwing out Mortal Kombat?
It's just a different type of game, whereas you've got block as a button. And Mortal Kombat has a different vibe to me than the other fighting games. Mortal Kombat has its own sort of flawed system from the get-go, but it did a different way. This game, does this look better than Body Blows AGA versions? Some parts of it do, you know. I think the characters are more. I like the characters in Body Blows a little bit more. Actually, I don't like the characters in Body Blows Galactic too. So I mean, there are some characters that I like, but which one do I think is a better game? And it's tough. I think I would pick Body Blows just on the basis that it's flawed, but it's a better system. The fighting system is just so bad that it really robbed me of the joy of it. Because otherwise, I'm like you. The backgrounds look nice. The parallax is nice. Multi-layers of parallax scrolling. The music was good when I had it on. The sound effects were good. The character selection was good. But it's really let down by the gameplay. And I just wonder how these scores came out that were so high when you've got this big, a huge fundamental flaw.
Maybe people that were playing Amiga games at the time weren't necessarily the biggest fighting fans given their choice of platform, and they were like me. They noticed that some fights were over faster than others, but maybe they were just like, hey, maybe that's just the game.
Yeah, and some of the moves are super duper ridiculously cheap too. So it is what it is. Now here's something I thought was interesting. So remember we talked about the people that made this game, n.a.p.s.
Mm-hmm.
The team is the oldest Italian development team, which I believe Italians also did Fighting Spirit, didn't they, as I recall?
That seems like they did.
Yeah. So it was started in 1993 by Fabio Capone. What a name!
Yeah, man.
And Domenico Barba.
They know how to name.
And this was their first game, and it was successful. You know, as far as that goes. But these guys are still around. Believe it or not.
You know, I saw that they have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
And they were sort of teasing a new version of this game. I don't know if anything ever came of it.
Well, so they've done 45 games. Now, tell me if you've heard. I just wrote down a few. They've worked on every system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything from phones, Windows, PS4, PS3, everything. So right now they've got a game coming out called, I think it's called Maria the Witch. They did a game called Dead-Eye Jim, WW2, Battle Over Pacific, WW1, Aces of the Sky, Gakido Advance, Rage Ball, Gakido, and Sniper Assault. I've never heard any of these games, but that doesn't mean
they're bad.
They could be European exclusives or whatever. But I thought it's kind of neat that the company, that this is the game that launched their company, and the company's still around. So, and apparently this game did okay, you know. I was amazed at how popular it was on Lemon. Like, there were no naysayers or anyone bad-mouthing it. That's pretty rare, even with really, you know, successfully scored games. To get to the scores and I just looked over a few of the CD32 reviews. Lemon gave the CD32 version an 8.41. That's huge. They gave the AGA version an 8.1 and the OCS an 8.1. So all those over 8. Amiga Computing US Edition 1 gave this a 91. By the way, I can't find any US release for this, so if it was released over here, I can't find it. Amiga Format gave it an 89, and Australian AUI gave it an 89. So, and I looked over scores for the AGA version. They were all in the 80s, upper 80s and 90s, and so was the OCS. So, popular game, but just a fundamental flaw for me. That's just me. Any final thoughts?
Like I said, I enjoy this game a lot. I may have to go back and play Fighting Spirits again just to refresh my memory. But I really liked it.
Just closing the door. eBay on this. Again, there were no U.S. copies. The CD32 version you can get for $12 US in the UK, $63 in the UK. They had and these are for the CD cases. In Germany, they had the box version, which and I couldn't tell if it was the AGA or the OCS for $34, $35, $48. In the UK, you could get the box ones too. So they were out there. That wasn't like it was super rare to get. You're probably gonna be paying somewhere between, if you want the box version, between 20 and 50, $60, something like that. So there you go. I will say it was. I thought it was gonna be absolute garbage. It was not.
Aaron, last week we didn't have a Patreon song.
Yeah, what happened to that? Oh, that's right. You did something to humiliate me.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that you knew. Now, did you remember Figgy CTZ after?
I know Figgy. We're talking about. I will end you, sir. In 3 fireballs.
We have a new Patreon supporter. Just signed on today. We want to welcome Retro Man Cave to the fold.
Look at that. That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
I
love your stuff.
As always, with this song, if you know the Patreon song, you can send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com, and I will read your name as a winner if you guess correctly. So, here we go.
Oh, God. Looks like you're throw up a hairball.
I'm establishing a groove.
Is that what you're doing?
Retro Man Cave, Tim Drew, Daniel Williams, Robert Edgerton III, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Eder, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nibbs, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Sean Zoe, Darren Lomax, Colin 419, Buckbeard, Roland Burke, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Dan Ross, Leaf Kellon, Alan Kebab, Checo de Levelon, John Marshall, yeah.
It's like Ball Bear.
Matthew
Oh, yes.
Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy.
Oh, yes.
Fig Z, The Slow Norris, Steffo Sogan Monson, Edmund Hilland, Blender 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Falls, Dreamcatcher Longeroom, Graham Vepke, Brent Dowdy, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro, and Vintage Gary Hucker, see Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Alan Kebab, Anthony Jambis, Tapes from the Crib, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rouleau, and THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy Humberstad, Daniel Bankston, Brutal Butter, Codal Dare, Jason, Darren, Coles, Jason Wards, Pixels at Dawn, and Kjolbjorn Barman.
Man, what was that?
That was your favorite band. That was ABBA.
That sounded like some AM Gold right there.
Some
Thank
Easy
God
Rock
for that
Paradise.
horn break. That may be the worst thing I've ever heard. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, Aaron, next week, deck the halls, jingle those bells. It's time for our annual Christmas show.
It is.
It is. Next
You're
week,
right. Holy smokes.
Isn't that crazy? It's upon us
I'm so
already.
far behind.
It's
I'm so
upon
far
us.
behind, Boat.
We're going to be playing 2 classic Christmas Amiga titles. Fire and Ice Christmas Edition.
Mm-hmm. Fire and Ice. Remember that? Pat Benatar?
Sister Christian.
Sister Christian's a song from a band called Night Ranger.
Yeah.
Fire and Ice is a song from Pat Benatar.
It's like the same thing.
As Brent used
It's
to
like a
call
super
her,
group.
Pat Nebitar. He couldn't get the last name. Yeah.
What is a Nebitar?
Man, I don't know. I don't want to know.
There's a question for ARG.
It's a minotaur with 2 butts, or a centaur.
We're also going to be playing Christmas Lemmings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So
I played that one.
Thanks as always to the Amigos Game Selection Committee.
They are wise.
For choosing this game for us.
And we're not going to be playing the Christmas Maria game.
No Christmas Maria.
I'll be playing that one on my own time.
That is the Amigos After Dark portion. Thanks as always to all of the folks hanging out with us in the chat. And on YouTube, we have The Future Was 8-Bit, Ricky DeRocher, Craig McClellan, Necronom, Jason Warnes, Pishbot, nice to see you, Pishbot, Retro Man Cave. Let's see, just a whole ton of folks.
See what
hanging
Retro
out.
wrote.
Picard 2005
He
is
just
here.
he revoked it after that. I knew when you led the song with his name, I was like, man, I think he's canceling that check right now, calling up the bank.
So, as always, we record on Friday nights around 5:30ish Eastern. We hope you will join us for our Christmas show next week, and in 2 weeks, our Amigos New Year's Eve Spectacular. It's going to be off the chain
Drunken
and the
mayhem.
hook. Yes.
Yeah.
So, guys, thanks as always for listening. Keep on playing the Amiga. We'll see you next week. Adios.
Adios. What happened to until then? Do
Did
it
I
again.
forget about until
do
then?
it again.
Okay. Until then, adios.
I'll do it again. Keep it going. One more time.
That's it. I'm done. All right.